Boy, IG is
Girl,
not letting you be great today.
it's not, and I'm really bummed because I don't think it saved that.
Oh no.
Yes, but we might
Ah.
have to do another just interview. So, oh wow, I don't think it's saved. Yes, I'm not sure what's going on with IG today. Let us be great.
IG is not letting us be great. I
No.
don't remember what was I talking about? Oh, casting. So you want me
Yeah,
to wait?
casting.
Let's wait
Yes.
until it populates. What are you drinking?
Well, I'm not drinking anything.
What? Girl, it's
No.
a Sunday afternoon. How are you not drinking
Well,
anything?
actually,
You don't
after this,
understand.
I'm doing a writing workshop, and we're doing it on
Oh,
Zoom and Facebook. So I'm hoping that's going to let us be a little bit more great. Oh man, I really so if anyone on here can screen record, I'm screen recording, but I'm not sure if we got that the last
oh
20 30
no.
minutes, which is disappointing. Yes. Okay.
Maybe it's taking a while to save in your thingy.
No, it usually shows you how you can download it, but yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah, Instagram is not letting you be great
It's
today.
not. And yeah, we were on a couple earlier today and we had no problems. I don't know.
Oh, I don't know.
Maybe it's the time of day.
Uh, I know. You know what? I did see a lot of people doing lives. So the possibility exists that their lives are just like thing
Yes.
there.
Well, thanks guys for coming back and we're
Hmm.
going to continue the conversation. And
Right.
let
So
me
we were
see if
talking about casting, right?
yes. And we had another question in there. So if you sent a question earlier, I did see it in the box, but it did not come back. So please let me know what the question was. Please enter it. So yes, about the casting.
Okay. Somebody just asked the film festival. It's abff.com and it's free. It's normally in Miami and costs money, and it's now free.
And
So
this year is
you
free.
should
You can
watch it.
see,
And they have some nice films in it too. They have some nice
yes.
films in it. I've watched I think three out of the five that are in the Pride section. It was an interesting.
Okay.
So all right, so casting. So yeah, the three guys, I reached out to their handlers. One handler came back and said, sorry, he's not he can't do that role. Or he came back and said he wouldn't be comfortable doing the role. Another one, when I sent out his thing, the handler was like, boy, I really don't think they're gonna do it. Right. And then the other guy just never bothered to respond. The one that said, I don't think they're gonna do it, reached out to me like a month after I'd already shot.
Mm.
And
Okay.
I was
A
just
month
like,
after a shot. Okay.
I was like, no, Virgin, don't need you anymore. So what I ended up doing was we went into casting. There was a couple of Jamaicans that came in for casting that didn't give me the range that I needed, because that's the other thing. It's that, this piece went through so many levels, so many emotions, that it was very important to find talent, an actor who could do that range within 15 minutes. The piece, all told, I think when he just does it straight through, ended up being, because there's some bits that I cut out, ended up being like 17, 18 minutes with all his pauses and his
Wow.
moments and
That's
things like
really
that.
tight. And you got
Right.
14 minutes?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's what happens when you have a Letitia on your shoulder.
Yo, Letitia, we got to get her
She
on
was
here.
like,
Yes.
she was like, she was like the sweet spot for any film festival, and anybody on here who's a filmmaker, this is what you should tell her. This is what you tell your team. 14 minutes. If you're going over that, it have to be so good that the festivals are like, okay, fine. But at 14 minutes is like one more notch that they
Yes.
can program.
It's
So
true.
it's like you're to cover all your bases and just make sure that you fit all the other boxes, even though you're a good film. 14 minutes. She was like, that's your sweet spot. Stay there. Don't leave there. So keep trimming. She said, if you can get it to 11, go to 11. But if you can get it to 14, go to 14.
No,
So
it's
me
so
and the
true.
editor who is not on here because he's in China, um, he's in China doing COVID with his wife. He actually, we struggled and we got it down to 14 with credits in and out, top and tail. It's brilliant. But yeah, so the actor, this
And say the
actor,
actor's name, please. What's the actor's
his
name?
name is Kevon Edwin, spelled Kyvon, and he's on Instagram. Reach out to him. He is brilliant, and he's a godsend. I don't know how anybody else feels, but when I do something and somebody reads it back to me and I hear my own words, like my insides tickle and I get goose pimples and I start to cry. Just it's all sorts of emotions going on, right? And when he walked in, a Jamaican guy had just walked out of the room. He walked in and he delivered. We had done a side that was part of the script, but not part of the script. It's like one page. And he delivered that one page. I asked them to do it without any directive. And so they deliver the page. And then I give them directives if they need it. That's just, my MO as a director. So he comes in and he does the piece. And it was myself, Nyanda, the dialect coach, who was also doing casting with us, and Letitia. And we were quiet. And Letitia looked at me and we took a deep breath. And we both had goose pimples. And Letitia had to, wipe her eyes. Me, I could do this, because he delivered. It wasn't the right accent, but he delivered. So we were like, thank you. He was convinced he never got the job. I never asked him to do it over. And then we went to dinner. We were talking and I was like, guys, I'm afraid that I will deliver a piece that is very heavily Jamaican because this guy comes from downtown Kingston. And I don't know if you know anything about Tivoli Gardens or Trenchtown,
No, not much.
or shootouts or just the violence and the characters that live there. And they are characters. Let me tell you. And I needed this guy to embody that character. Have you ever seen Paul Campbell?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so Paul Campbell, he needed to deliver the bad man, Paul Campbell, young guy, right? But denying his sexuality. So that's who he really needed to be. And so to come in and not be Jamaican was a problem. So we discussed it and they were like, Tanya, we could train him. We could train him. You could do it. And I said, okay, I'm gonna sleep on it. And I woke up the next morning, Letitia called me. She's like, you give him a job yet? And I called him and I offered him the job and he was like, what? I casted him and he was like, I was like, yeah, by the way, where are you from? And he's like, I'm from St. Lucia and I am here studying at Lee Strasberg. He was finishing his last year at his residency at Lee Strasberg. So he was the actor I was looking for. He was the young Lawrence Fishburne meets Paul Campbell. Like, he was brilliant.
Wow. They are in Jamaica to come and do the casting. I said, and he was in Jamaica.
No, he was here. We casted here. We did all the pre-production here. And then I flew to Jamaica a week before everybody else to do things like rent the beach, blah, blah, et cetera, lock up all the details, get my vendors together. And then Letitia and Ayana and Kivon joined me in Jamaica 2 days before the shoot. So they flew in on Saturday evening. We did the Scout of the Beach Saturday evening through the beginning of the night. We rehearsed and did tech setup on Sunday by the pool at our Airbnb. It's fabulous. And then on Monday night, we filmed. And then on Tuesday morning, on the way back from filming, Kivon says, I've heard about this place called Lime Key. I wanted to see a beach while I was here. And so our driver was like, yeah, we could do that. And he drops us off at 8, picks us back up at 10, and we drive to Portland. And we went to Frenchman's Cove and washed away the grime and the guts of Winston. But anyway, back to our casting. Kivon committed for about 3 weeks every Saturday to come to rehearsals with myself and Nanda Kamak, who is a Jamaican actress who now lives here. And she committed to doing dialect coaching with me. Dialect coaching is more than just getting the accent right, which is what a lot of people make the assumption that, we can just teach you how to do the accent. And Jamaican accent is like an Irish accent. So if you can speak Irish, we can speak Jamaican. So the accent is flat. And you draw out your A's, etc., etc. You drop your H's, and everybody thinks that's all it is. It's not. I wanted Paul Campbell, so I needed the nuances that come with the dialect, which is how if you're a bad boy from the side of the street, you kind of hunch your shoulders a little bit, you lean back, that kind of, you have a different cadence to how you walk and just how you look at the world, and Kevon landed in Jamaica, and he was no longer Kevon. He was Winston.
Wow.
When we went to the Tech Scout, nobody on my team in Jamaica, all Jamaicans, knew who he was. They knew he was the cast. I introduced him.
Yeah.
He said, Walton. He spoke very little. He walked up and down the beach. They all assumed he was Jamaican.
Wow.
And it wasn't until, for a couple of them, I think it was my editor must have mentioned it, and they were just like, nah, he's Jamaican. And he's like, no, Virgin, he's not Jamaican.
So let me
Because
go.
he
So
couldn't
again,
believe it.
3 weeks of dialect training.
Yes, and we spoke to him. I spoke to him every day. He was not allowed to speak to me in anything but patois.
Okay.
So he had, when he answered the phone, he's like, yo, what? You know, and he had to be like, no, man, no, Sassy, you know, like, so what's up? What you doing? Why am I eating food? Like he had to embody all of those things. He lived on Vibes Cartel. He lived on all of that dance hall. He used to listen to it anyway,
He had
but
the whole
now,
Jamaican experience.
right. So now, instead of just living on listening to the music, he was now doing the lyrics. So he would download the lyrics and he would practice the lyrics. And then when he was with myself and Nyanda got him to do the shoulder movements. I had him study almost every single Paul Campbell movie. Whenever he got caught on set, the one line that he would fall back into is "Walk and Live, Talk and Bumbleclad Dead" from Dancehall Queen that Paul Campbell does. And this is the ultimate respect. I shared the film with Paul Campbell.
You did, or he did?
I did. I shared the film with Paul Campbell. I was like, "What do you think?" And he said, yes, this boy is going to go very, very far. He did an amazing job. And I said, he's not Jamaican. And he said, I heard it a couple of times, but he did really, really well.
That's a big deal.
I know. I was
That's
like,
a big deal. Because one of the things I think when you think about some of the Hollywood films, right? I see the British actors being able to embody the as you talked about, the dialect, and you see them a lot. Like you will see an actor and you will see him on something for 2 years and then you'll see him in an interview and go like, oh, he's British, or oh, you know.
Right. Oh, yes.
You see that a lot. And you see that with some American actors, but the British actors really have that. So to your point, I wonder if it's the training around the dialect.
It's the training. It's the training around understanding that a different culture is not just, because the thing that can make you believable. So when you can watch a Jamaican person acting and they will slip out of the Jamaican accent, right?
Yeah.
But they still are Jamaican to you because of the way they move. And so it's very, very key. And as you said, maybe it is their base accent, because when you speak to Paul Campbell speaks with a pan-Caribbean, almost British accent. And he does very good American, and then he slips into his patois very well. I've been told I speak a horrible patois, so let's not have that conversation.
We do have 2 questions, so I do want to give our folks a chance. So let's see what we have. Oh, I think we answered this, but I will put it up for folks just joining. We are celebrating the Fantabulous team, creative and producing team of Winston, a short film that is currently at the American Black Film Festival. And guess what? You can actually go and watch it because it's free. You can get a community pass and watch it. And tell us again what sections it's in. It's in the Pride section, but you can type in Winston or you can type in my name in the search bar and it'll come up as well. Awesome. But it's when you scroll down, it's in the Pride section. I think there's a feature film section, international films, short films, web series, documentaries, and Pride. Yeah. This is their inaugural Pride event. When we had a meeting with Nicole and Jeff Friday earlier on this week, because they do a meet the filmmakers in every section, they were pretty cool. Hey, Perry! Sorry, one of our PAs. And I want to do your introduction again. Guys, we have here Tanya Taylor. Oh, yes. Yes, director, writer, and executive producer of the short film Winston we're talking about. And you know, we've had a little challenges with IG, but we thank you
We
guys for
have.
coming
We
back.
have.
And so thank you for that question, Yolanda. Thank you so much for that question. And you know, so one of the things we talked about Winston, but I want to talk about your experience, because you have, I mean, you know, a great background. If you can talk about how, you know, you got into filmmaking, into
Oh,
directing.
wow.
What was that path, or what? Well, you can share the path, because I mean, I looked at you. You have a lot going. You have a lot of experience, and you talked a little bit about Winston, why you wanted to do this, because of, you know, having friends and knowing that it's based on a true story.
Okay, so I've actually been in the film industry for the greater part of 2 decades now. I was in advertising before and thought, "Ooh, that looks interesting." Um, and when I left advertising, I one of my friends slash mentor, she became a mentor when I got into film. Um, I used to hire her to do all the commercials for the agency. So I decided to go on a commercial with her just for the heck of it to see what it was like. And I fell in love. And I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. And I started doing projects in film. And then one of my old clients kind of just handed me, and you know, it's about being in the right place at the right time.
Right.
One of my old clients, KFC, I ended up in a studio with them by accident, and they were just like, hey, we're about to do a television series with kids, and you always did all our commercials. Hey, you don't want to produce it for us? And I was like, wait, what? And my mentor at the time said, nah, you can't do that. It's a multi-camera job. Like, you've never done that before. You can't, whatever. So this was in 2002. Google was not exactly as rich as it is now. It wasn't a font for information. So I dug up some information and I learned how to do a multi-camera shoot. And I then produced and directed 9 seasons of that kids television show with 32 episodes a year. And then while doing that, did a whole bunch of other long form television series for the Jamaican market.
Okay.
So I did things like Deal or No Deal. I wrote and I developed and wrote and directed a 6-camera series, challenge studio series called Heineken Green Synergy. It was about DJs, and we flew Grandmaster. It was like it's one of the highlights of my career because I had so much fun doing it. We got Grandmaster Flash to come to Jamaica to teach the DJs how to scratch. It was and be a judge. It was fantastic. So yeah, I did a lot of that, and then I've been doing a lot of commercials within the Jamaican market. And I moved here a few years ago to try, not to try, but to kind of share my cultural lens with the rest of the world directing. And someone said to me, well, the way to get into the industry here, like really directing, is you need to make something that's your calling card. You need to show people what you can do in narrative.
Right.
And up until this point, all of my content had been funded by other people. So the kids television show, you know, though it's all my idea and me doing it, it was funded by somebody else. You know, I did a lifestyle reality show a few years back where we explored culture through food. And that's the thing that you were watching that I was talking about the last time. And that was also funded by somebody else, and it's somebody else's show. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so this time I was like, you know, I'm gonna put my money where my mouth is, because if I don't invest in me, who else is gonna invest in me? Right? I'm gonna wait for somebody to give me money to make a film? No. You know, I'm gonna take the money out of my pocket. And so I said, I'm gonna do this. And then Letitia said, yes, you should do it.
Yes. Your creative producer, yes.
She was just like, you need to do it. You should do it.
And so how long from the thought of like, or writing to script to screen did it take?
Okay. So like 2 months. Yeah, actually 2 months. So what had happened was I met Letitia in October at a NIWIFT event, career focused NIWIFT event. And Letitia said, you haven't said what you want to do with your life. You tell me what you want to do with your life. And I was like, she goes, you have an idea. So I told her about Jamaican Pride, which is a docu-feature a docufiction piece that I'm working on developing. And Winston is one of the fiction pieces. So it's one of the short films in the piece. So it's a hybrid documentary meets littered with a bunch of short films. And Winston is one of the short films that explores how societal homophobia affects the psyche, right? So I told her about Winston, and she was like, "Oh, we can shoot that. You can shoot it easy. I think we need to get something into ABFF next year, and we need to shoot that." And I was like, "What?"
Love this.
And she was at the time she was producing Pa Until, which is also another award-winning film, and it was in ABFF last year, I believe.
Yes.
So she basically was like, "It sounds like something that can be done. Write it. Why haven't you written it?" 2 weeks later, I'm really bad with follow-up. I did not respond. I did not email her. She emailed me. And she was like, "What's going on with Jamaican Pride? Where is this film? Where is the script?" And I was like, "Oh, well, what happened was, like, I'm thinking, like, producer hat." And she was like, "Get out of your way and just write it." So on Thanksgiving in 2018, my family went after Thanksgiving dinner. They went out and did God knows what else that we normally do. And I stayed in and I wrote Winston that afternoon. I wrote the whole thing. I was done. Called up my sister in Jamaica and I said, "Okay, I need you to read this script back to me because I don't think a thing is finished until I can hear it." And she read it back. We put in all little patois nuances. And I was done. And I sent it to Letitia. And I said, "Do you need me to translate it? Because I wrote it in patois." And she said, "I'm good." She said, "I'm good. I can figure this out." Cut to we're editing, and Letitia goes, we put in the subtitles. Letitia goes, "Wait, that's what that meant?" I was like, "My girl, like this whole time you didn't know?"
Yes.
So I did that in November, and then we flew to Jamaica in January, and we shot it. And February 14th, I kid you not, at midnight last year, I actually uploaded the rough cut to ABFF because I said I was entering it into ABFF.
Yes, that was the goal.
I sent it in last year, and unfortunately, we never made it. That's fine, but we got in this year.
Yeah,
So
you locked in this
we got
year.
into their inaugural Pride section, and they said this is the first year they're doing it, and they would like to continue exploring, the Black LGBTQ experience through film going forward. So I'm actually honored to be included in their first one this year. So it's kind of cool.
That is an amazing turnaround, right? Like,
yes,
that is an amazing turnaround. And within a year of you submitting it or sending a rough draft, you've been in, I think you listed 7 or 8 festivals. So
yeah,
so this one this week is at ABFF, and you get to the New York, well, actually global audience because it's online, but it's really cool that you get a whole new audience to, watch it and give you feedback. Let me see. I do want to try to get Letitia on.
Yes, that would be lovely.
Oh, okay. Yes, Letitia Guillory. Did she produce the short film Flight?
No. The short film Flight, I do know. That is actually Letitia's American. The short film Flight is actually produced by, oh my God, I've just forgotten her name. I know her name, but it's a Jamaican filmmaker. It's a Jamaican film. I do know the director of photography is Gabrielle Blackwood. The filmmaker's name eludes me right now. Perry, if you're still on and you remember her name, can you tell me, please? But it's a Kia Moses. That's her name. Nobody said it, but I remembered it. Her name is Kia Moses. She wrote and directed it. I don't know if she produced it. She also filmed with a Jamaican. So we're talking about directors of photography. Gabrielle Blackwood is a brilliant Jamaican director of photography, female, lives and works in Jamaica. And so Flight is actually quite brilliant, and it's a beautiful short film. It was in ABFF last year, I think. Okay. And it's completely different from Winston, but it's a beautiful piece. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and every time I can talk about Kia, I do, because it was her first film.
Yes.
And it was also her first step into first directing. So I think it's the first time she'd ever done anything like that. Yeah, Perry, Kia. Mm-hmm.
That's great. So, Letitia, if you can go out and come back, and I'm going to try to grab you. But while
All
I'm
right.
looking
So
for,
you want me to?
do you see
Okay.
her?
No.
Okay, so while we're looking for, well, so while I'll look for Letitia, one of the things I want you to kind of talk about, no, you're proud of your Jamaica. What would be your um, favorite dish that once we're out of COVID, you would love to share with people? Your favorite Jamaican dish that you would love to share with folks?
Share with like me cook? No,
Yeah.
Bridget. No, no, no.
Okay, so your favorite
Nobody never
Jamaican
tell you.
restaurant.
Nobody wait. Nobody never tell you say my oven have shoes in it, you know.
Okay, do you have a favorite Jamaican restaurant in New York
Yeah,
that
but
you would love for? I know it's a lot of New
no,
Yorkers.
no, no, no. I don't have any. I can't have a favorite Jamaican restaurant in New York because see, I have friends in Jamaica who are chefs.
Okay.
And you know, when you have friends who are chefs, you do, because I've seen your friends cooking,
Yes.
right? When you have friends who are chefs, food takes on a whole different meaning for you because they put a certain love and care when they make food
Yes.
that you can taste in the food. So my favorite Jamaican chef is actually my auntie and my other auntie. So
Okay.
my two aunts of them, and them not cooking food for us. So
So
my
that means
aunt
I have to adjust my question.
My aunt Sonia makes a really good oxtail, and Aunt Marcia makes a really good curry goat.
Okay. Curry goat and oxtail.
No, but those aren't my favorites. So my favorite is actually stew peas with pig's tail, and the pig's tail better salt. So I have a few Jamaican favorites.
So
But
that's
when
your
I
favorite. Where do you get that?
stew peas,
Yes.
I only get it when I go to Jamaica.
Okay.
And up until last year, I was actually going back and forth to Jamaica because I make a lot of KFC commercials back there. So I was doing a lot of work back there, but then I started focusing on getting projects here, and so I've been here more. So I haven't had much pig stale, stew peas with pig stale. My friend Kevin makes it from time to time. It's not
We
bad.
have another question. Let's see. Oh, great question. Lamonia, by the way, how's Jamaica doing during COVID?
Well, what had happened was, so they were doing really well. They shut down the country, and they were doing fabulously up until Jamaican independence, where everybody started to go down on the streets and party, and nobody had to wear no mask. Okay, so let me
They
translate that
didn't
for
do
you.
a virtual festival?
Nobody was wearing. Well, no,
That's what everybody said
actually,
virtual.
some fest. And I think some of the people are in here from one of my vendors, Phase Three Productions, who've been doing production with me since 2002. But so they actually did a virtual Sumfest, and it was brilliant. It was beautifully done. Borderline DET awards, kind of sexy. It was that good. Hey, Laura, female technical director. We in from Jamaica. She's on. Hi. So so yeah, so they did Sumfest, but then August 1st to August 6th is kind of the Emancipendence weekend. So it's Independence and Emancipation
Okay.
week rather. And so I think Jamaicans went a little crazy because they were so they were out without masks, and now they've called a general election, and again they're out without mask campaigning. They're not doing it virtually, and so the cases seem to have risen in the last week alone.
We got it. We got
So unfortunate. Lamonia is the case. They were doing very well. They had nine deaths, I think, only nine, and I think that's raised, which is
uh
unfortunate.
That is.
Yeah.
So I haven't seen Letitia. I will try to send her a note, but I would love for you to kind of share like some advice or inspiration for folks, because you, as I said, you've had quite a journey and have done a lot with the writing and the directing. If you have any advice about just kind of being in the industry, and then how can we support you, with ABFF, and you can tell us about like what's your next project.
Okay, so
Right.
that's a lot. So let's get ABFF. ABFF, you can go on get that community pass, which is free, which is kind of awesome, guys, because like it's one of the best, if not the best, African American film festivals in the U.S. today. And in terms of just what they do for filmmakers,
Yes.
they are the kind of film festival that celebrates all types of African American or Black film across the world, because they have an international section that has some really interesting films from Africa. So it's one of those festivals that celebrates everything Black. They have talks by this year by like people like Kenya Barris. There is a comedy talk with Yvonne Orji. Did I say her name right?
Yes.
I always feel like I never say it right.
Yes.
Today there was an NBC Universal at ABFF talk with 3 executives from NBC Universal, and they were giving they were like, as you guys would say, they were dropping gems. So it was like some really good information on creating your pitch Bible and things like that. So they have a bunch of these different things, and you get all of that with the community pass. Normally you would have to pay to go to a festival like this, to be and put yourself up in a hotel, and you would have to have outfits. I mean, because let me tell you, you have to have outfits to go to these festivals. So you'd have outfits, there'd be drama because you'd have to have meals. Like, so it's free. I mean, I would check it out if I were you, and you get to see films from all over the world. I actually like watching films from other filmmakers in my boat, like trying to make it, because I feel like, you know, you see what's happening in what you know next. So check it out, and then log on to Winston, vote for me. And so what else was it? Wait, so that was ABFF.
Yes, and I said if you had any, you know, advice for folks. Actually, so maybe with the question, I actually did see a question. If you had any advice for someone who wanted to shoot in Jamaica,
call me. I'm also a fixer.
All right.
So no, so the thing about filming in Jamaica is it is easy if you have somebody on the ground who knows the ins and outs and how to navigate it. It is a little trickier if not. And you should have somebody on the ground who's able to navigate it, because like anywhere in the world, there are places that you can go to that you really should not be at, and you cannot follow ways into every street corner, because that's a problem. So I would advise you to call somebody, and call me. I'm available. I can also give you advice if I can't fly in with you. There is equipment, Lamonia. There is equipment there. There is crew there. There's crew that just haven't been asked to step up their game. So they do things at the level that they are expected to be at in Jamaica, but they're very professional. Letitia will tell you if we get her on here. But you know, they're very professional. And as we did with Ayana will tell you, like, they told me after the fact, they were like, they really liked working with her because she forced them, you know, to step up a little bit and do a few things that they hadn't done before and hadn't been given the opportunity to do before in terms of flexing their creative muscles. So it is just, you know, finding the crew that you gel with and you work with, and the crew there is, I mean, they're my comfort zone. You know, it's like when you're a filmmaker, you find the crew that you're comfortable, that you know they'll give you what you need. And, you know, for me right now, Jamaica is my comfort zone with that, except for Yana. And I'm meeting some new people, so that's great. What's next for Tanya is, Tanya is working on getting into episodic hair, directing episodic, trying to make television reflect more of society and who we are. And so therefore using my cultural lens and my experiences to be able to tell those stories. So there's that. And I'm also like working on a couple of projects. So I have Jamaican Pride, as I told you about before, which is the docufiction thing, that piece that is the larger bit of Winston. And then there is also How to Be Jamaican, which is a comedy sketch series that derived out of my relationship with Letitia and having to explain to her every time I say something that I think is English, but it's not.
It is not.
You know, so it is that that, you know, that kind of look at. And then also Letitia says, why you assume everybody's Jamaican? Because everybody I meet, I assume
you exude that, and you just like draw people to you.
It's like, you're Jamaican, right? You're Jamaican.
All the
You're Jamaican. You're Jamaican. Everybody's Jamaican.
Yes. Well, so we are going to get Letitia in here,
Brilliant.
and it has been amazing talking to you. But you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to save this and come back, because
Oh, you're
I'm
gonna
going to
come out,
save this and
save
come
it?
back. So please, people, come back. It's like 30
I'll come
seconds
back.
to a minute. So I'm saving this, come back, and we have the creative producer. So then you get to see like the full like team. So we're coming, I shouldn't say the full team, but the creative and producing team. All right?
Yeah, the creative and producing team. All right, cool.
Okay.
Later. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.